Did the gong that you heard be a means for us to focus our attention and clarify our mind? Let us begin our evening worship and meditation, because meditation is an internal worship, a way of steering the attention toward the glory of the divine that sits within us. Let us enjoy our pilgrim journey for the next few moments. We begin by making sure that we are seated properly, seated nicely. We are always in the presence of the divine. We may not be aware of it. We always forget it. But constant remembrance of this divine presence uplifts our soul. It saturates the mind so that any adversary things or adversarial things that we have to face in this life become saturated and neutralized. Like filling a glass of water and displacing everything else, displacing also the air that sits within the confines of the glass. We will contemplate the element water. But before we do this, let us simply sit. Let us watch. What are we watching? Just watch how our body is seated. Just make sure that it is relaxed, particularly the area around the solar plexus. Just make sure that there is no tension acquired during the day or even our lifetime. Let us sit and allow ourselves to be the recipients of divine grace flowing. Let us not deviate from this theme until we feel the divine presence all around us as a living presence. Because the body occupies space, let us think that the human body is surrounded by space, a kind of aura around it that is divinely blessed, that is vibrantly present, a kind of magnetic field. Let us see that the borders of this magnetic field extend infinitely. There is no space between, nor object. There are no photons. There is no light. There is only the divine presence, whose characteristic is a loving presence. Let us feel that we are vessels being filled with divine grace. Let us feel this from the tips of the toes, all the way up to the top of the head, and down again, like a full fountain that overflows and refills continuously. Let us be aware that this divine grace comes not from any quarter. It is always there. This divine grace forms itself into characteristics that are helpful, useful. The quality of strength. We are all beings May all things made from minuscule atoms and vague fields of energy, may all of that be filled with strength. At the psychological level, may we be strong, confident. Let us feel this deep strength, this emitting quality everywhere present. There are no voids or gaps in this. This presence is also true and full of pure wisdom, guiding us in the right direction. It is pure, without any contradictions in it or blemishes. It is full, it is fullness itself. One cannot add to it nor take away from it. It is free, never bound by time or space or quality or condition. It is beautiful. Wherever we see beauty, is simply an expression of this internal, infinite beauty. It is radiant, it is blissful. Goodness, harmony, and peace. Let these qualities not only come to us, but come to all. May all beings be infused with these qualities. May they shine with these qualities, for they are always there. Now let us fill the mind up with that primordial sound of Om. Let us repeat it to ourselves silently. And if you have your own particular mantra from a competent teacher, repeat this mantra. We'll repeat Om 3 times to begin with, and we will choose the Gayatri mantra since the sun is everywhere today here. Om Bhuvah Swaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahe Yo Na Prachodayat. Let us contemplate that shining, illuminating one that illumines all the worlds. May that illumination come to us. Let us observe now other goings on in the human body, starting off with how we are seated. Let us ensure that the chest, the neck, and the head is arranged straight line. Let us make sure that the hips are adjusted in such a way that the spine is straight, acting like a conduit from divine grace to flow. Let us feel the surge of divine energy throughout the whole body to the tips of the fingers. Awareness means we are not changing anything. To ensure that we are neurologically calm, let us observe the action of the breath. Let us feel the warmth of the breath as it leaves the nostrils over the lips and the fresh air that enters. And as we inhale, let us inhale divine grace loaded with all these virtual qualities of strength and beauty and goodness and love and harmony. Thus we exhale like the ocean's rhythmic inhalation and exhalation. Let us then exhale also these values for the benefit everywhere. In our world of spirit, there is no negativity. There are no virtues or vices. And having marveled at the organic machine that we call our body, let us now look to subtler areas such as mind. We know that mind is made from the subconscious, conscious, and the superconscious minds. All our working day, we have been operating conscious attention along with the companion of the unconscious. And rarely we get a glimpse of the infinite possibilities contained in the superconscious. Let us observe all the traffic going on in the mind. Like an observer observing multiple trains coming and going. The train of time carries all these impressions. Let them be there. They have a right to be there. They have a right to come. They have a right to send their greetings and bow, and they have a right to leave as well. Let's do this until there's a calm and a peace where the mind is settled. Let us wait and be patient for that moment of peace. And now that we are ready, let us take up the theme of water. We know water as a necessity for bathing and for drinking and sustaining all life. Even the driest deserts on the planet will require some kind of water. Water supplies all things with elasticity. So in the human organism, the flow of blood is necessary because of its flexible quality, its elasticity. Even on the furthest planets, there will be water. Sometimes in the form of ice, sometimes in the form of dewdrops, sometimes as rivers, sometimes as lakes, and of course, there is the vast ocean. Water is a fluid and reminds us instantly of the flow of divine grace that is possible. Let us contemplate how this divine grace plays out a drama as physical water flowing, supplying as it gains momentum from its source all the life and energy and nourishment for fish and plants and creatures. Truly, this element supplies us with inspiration about the activity of flowing. It is no accident that mythology gives us the picture of the Ganga river flowing down the matted locks of the Lord Shiva. Breaking the tremendous fall. And as it falls, periodically buffered by the various obstacles in its way, breaking the fall, it gushes forth with the variation of the sound Om, the gurgling of activity. We can see from our observation how it forms varying eddies and currents. How it gives an environment for fish. How everywhere in the world it gives us the beaches where people can bathe and draw water for drinking. And all this facility does not stop the river as it moves on its course, racing with momentum, increasing with white areas of surf, like braided hair. It flows on. Its grace is obvious, supplying fertile valleys with agricultural produce and food and fruit and water for drinking for animals as well as every other being. It is the home of subtle insects. It is the shifting movement of sand. It erodes on its course, giving beauty to the landscape. And even before it reaches, after many, many miles, the vast, infinite ocean, we can appreciate its goodness. We can see how it is caught up in different eddies and currents and yet flows on and never stops. And over time it is variable, but still it maintains its course. And thus we see the river of time flowing for all, unfolding the full potential that is within us. How glorious is that giver of life! And yet what we have been visualizing is only the expression of a subtle energy. We can mentally sit down before its activity, contemplating as saints and mystics have done of old, listening to the rhythmic, hypnotic sounds that have a calming effect on us. It is easy when we sit by this water to feel the connection from which this grace comes and into which it flows. Its subtle form is derived from other forces. Until we find a source which is quiescent. Just a small vibration an echo of that vast surging rhythm of the river. Sages and mystics call this Akasha, and yet it comes from a radiant cosmic mind. Let us visualize this radiant cosmic mind seated in the central part of our body, radiating and manifesting strength and truth and goodness and purity and love everywhere. It is the cosmic thinker. It is the knower. And even further back, we find it is given birth, it is the product of a birthing. And this cosmic mind we can now center as an environment in the center of the internal heart. A cave of the heart, we might say, that is beaming and manifesting itself as our most beloved form. Our most beloved form of the divine, the supreme principle, our God. Let us sit in its presence, feeling the radiance of its bliss, feeling that we are the beneficiaries of this divine emanating glory. And this comes from a potentiality where there is hardly any movement. Because, as it were, behind all of this is our own inconceivable, immortal self. It is not an object. Water cannot wet it. Fire cannot burn it. Air cannot dry it. It is vast. It is infinite, with no boundaries. It is pure being. Let us sink down into the depths of its presence. Let us feel the oneness with this. And if you feel a surge of joy, it is because the nature of this is pure bliss. Let us dive into the ocean of bliss. Let us not only drink the nectar, but let us saturate ourselves with it so that nearness, nearness, nearness becomes oneness. Now, like the river, you entered into the ocean of bliss. Its manifesting sound is Om. And from this Om comes infinite grace in and through and as and beyond all beings. Transforming in our eye previous thoughts of contrariness or negativity or doubt or fear, washing it all away with loving, joyous grace, just as a river washes away all the blemishes, transforms the landscape, and enters back into the ocean. And from the ocean, the sun evaporates it with clouds that fall as snowflakes on high Himalayan mountains and others. And from there, glaciers, and from there, the first spring of water that falls by the force of gravity, increasing its momentum, giving life, entering into the ocean and repeating the cycle. Let this divine grace be seen everywhere and felt everywhere. Let all our objective experiences be transformed into a vision of flowing grace. Let it wash away our fear and our doubt and our temptation. Let us feel the continuum everywhere, that truly there are no gaps, no voids, only the flow of divine grace. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Peace, peace, peace beyond all.